Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are excited to be back here with our guest, Lisa Deveaux, joining us to talk more about the work she does at Brown Skin Wellness, Pilates, and so much more. Our native from Brooklyn, New York, joins us here live today on the show, and we're excited to talk more about all the work she's doing. And I can't believe this is podcast number 3 already.
Yeah, podcast number 3.
Hey, well, thanks for coming back. And there's so much that you do, offering different modalities and techniques. And we're going to, I know, dive into more, to start about Pilates history and get into that. But before we do, just tell me a little bit about yourself and the company and how we can contact you, please.
Okay, I am the founder of Brown Skin Wellness. We offer yoga, Pilates, and meditation. We are located in Brooklyn, New York. We do customized wellness programs for nonprofits as well as organizations. We also offer individual private sessions for Pilates online and in person in Midtown Manhattan at a location there. And we do have a few workshops coming up in the near future, but I'll talk about that later. You can find us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook at Brown Skin Wellness. You can email us at hello@brownskinwellness, and the website is brownskinwellness.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And for, Pilates in general, people may have heard of it, but don't really know too much about it. Could you give us a little bit about the history behind it all?
Sure. A lot of people, I think, are under the misconception that it's just for women and, that it's all about just getting your abs really tight and all that. But Pilates was created by a man, Joseph Pilates, who was from Germany. And he created it actually originally for men. And the original name wasn't even Pilates. The original name was Contrology. And according to Joe in his book, Return to Life, he says Contrology is designed to give you suppleness, natural grace, and skill that will be unmistakably reflected in the way that you walk, in the way that you play, and in the way that you work. It is the complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. And those are Joe's words. So he kind of came up with this method. He kind of had a background as a boxer. He worked as a gymnast, and he apparently worked with some of I think they were prisoners in World War I, attaching springs to their beds and actually rehabilitating
Wow.
them while they were in bed. And that's kind of where I think his ideas for a lot of the apparatus and the equipment come from, the reformer, which is like a bed, right? Or even the Cadillac, the trapeze table, again, a bed with springs that you can attach at different points, get different tension levels to give your muscles resistance as you go through the movements.
I never knew that, right? Who knew?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
funny. That's a smart way to do it. And obviously, with Pilates nowadays, we're not using those type of springs, but we're using tools, right? That help in
right,
all this as well.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh! And what was the original
Yeah.
name of the Pilates method?
Contrology,
Control,
contrology.
like control.
Like control, which is actually one of the fundamental principles he had. He had a few fundamental principles, one of them being breathing.
Okay.
Um, Breathing, he would say, you can't live without breathing. It's the first thing you do when you come into this world. It's the last thing you do when you leave it, right?
Yeah.
And it's really important to give the muscles, the oxygen, the muscles and the organs oxygen. One of the things he would say, Pilates was designed to improve your posture and get your spine in alignment, right? And you want to protect all those muscles that go around the spine because you allow the body as the spine lengthens, you give the organs the space to function as they're designed to function, right? If your posture starts to, decline, right, and you don't have good posture, it's harder for the muscles to do what they were designed to do.
Mm.
So that was one of the things that he would say, if you have a healthy spine and you are 82, but you have a unhealthy spine and you're 20, well, the person that's 82 is probably younger than that 20-year-old body-wise because their spine is healthier. Um,
Mhm.
but breathing was one of those fundamental principles, oxygen for the organs, oxygen for those muscles, critical to the quality of the movement. You inhale, you go into a C curve very often, you breathe into all those muscles in the back, right? And a lot of times people forget to breathe when they're doing Pilates. And as an instructor, you have to constantly remind them, breathe, breathe.
Mhm.
Even in life, we have to remind ourselves to breathe, right?
It's so true.
Um,
And breathe properly. That's a whole nother issue.
yeah. And Joe definitely believed if we breathed properly, we could cure most of what ails us in the
Mm.
body and in the mind. Yeah. In terms of mental health, in terms of physical health, if we knew how to breathe properly, we could cure most of what ails us.
Amazing.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
you got
but
me
he
trying to
came
breathe
here.
right. Go ahead.
But he came here in 1923 with his partner Clara. Um, it is believed that they may have been married, they may not have been married, they might have met on the boat. Some of that is vague in terms of the history, but that was who he was with when he came here. She helped him, she supported him throughout his work in terms of the studio that they opened on 8th Avenue in Manhattan in Hell's Kitchen. They were right in the heart of the dance community there. And
Hmm.
so, because of that, they worked with several dancers, several celebrities in the 1920s, 1930s,
Yeah.
got to know Joe, worked with him, and he trained a whole series of elders, right?
Oh,
So there is a lot of what they call the elders in the space. So those first generation instructors, people like Ron Fletcher, Kathy Grant, Carol Trier, Lolita San Miguel, the list goes on. Romana, I can't say her last name. It's challenging for me, so I'm not going to attempt to
that's
butcher it.
okay. It's okay. I won't
Um,
either.
but there were several elders who embraced that work, and they brought a diversity to the work because each of them came to Joe with different things going on in their bodies. Like, for example, I have studied some of Kathy Grant's work with some of my instructors and noticed that she did a lot with rotation, right? And getting into the lateral body and into the side body, probably because that was something Joe did with her, right?
Yeah.
Um, so just depending on, what lineage you come through in terms of learning the work will depend on,
Doesn't.
how you approach it and what you bring to the table in terms of that. Getting
Interesting.
back to the principles, concentration was, one of the main principles. Joe believed if you could master the mind, you could master the muscles. If you could control the mind, you could control the muscles, hence contrology, right? The
Hmm.
idea of the body and the mind. And he also believed that from all of that, connecting the breath to the movement, to the mindfulness of the experience, you can get spiritual enlightenment from that. Um, so it's a combination of things, the breathing, the mental focus, and then the control. Very often you find with Pilates, you're stabilizing one area of the body while you're moving something else. So you might be moving your arms, lifting up
Hmm.
into a C curve, engaging the abdominals, but keeping the hips, the pelvis, and the legs stable. You might be keeping the upper thoracic stable and the upper body stable in a C curve while you move the legs in different directions. So all of that comes into play with control. Can I control my hips while I'm in this position without hiking it up, without twisting, right? And
Hmm.
just kind of keeping it centered. Centering was another principle, right?
Ooh,
Am I centered on the carriage? Am I
okay.
centered in my body? Do I feel grounded? Where am I in space? Am I to the left or am I to the
Oh
right,
gosh,
right?
I'm feeling all contorted now. My whole posture's off. You're reminding me how to do this right, what I'm doing wrong.
Right? Am I equally weighted in both of my sit bones at the base of the pelvis as I'm
Ooh,
sitting down, right?
yeah.
What am I doing? It gives you more self-awareness, right? More body awareness, like what's happening here. And that was another thing with, his principles. You need to take this into everyday life. It's not just happening in the studio, but as I'm walking down the street, where are my shoulders? Am I walking like this or am I like,
Mm-hmm.
pulling the shoulders away from the ears, like not wearing them as earrings as I'm going through, right, life. Um, he had a few other principles. Precision. A lot of the movements are extremely precise,
Okay.
especially as you get into the advanced work.
Okay.
You want to take all those things that you learn foundationally in the beginning, maybe after the first 100 classes, and apply them as you do more complex movements. So very precise movement. Um, Also, it was said that uh, it's important to perform the exercises in a specific order. So in the Pilates world, there's this, I don't want to call it an argument, but should it be classical where you follow
Mm-hmm.
the 34 exercises in a very specific order and you do it in that same order every single time? Or do we want to be more contemporary where, oh, we can do it in the order that the body needs, and the
Mm-hmm.
body needs this. So we're going to do it this way because that's what the body needs in this moment. There's
Got
been a
it.
debate in the space around that. I think a lot of instructors nowadays tend to follow, let me see what the body in front of me needs. So you still adhere to the fundamental principles as you're going through the work, but you might modify a movement because someone's range of motion can't get there, right?
Okay.
So there's the opportunities to play with the movement, to play with the work, and to see what works for the body in front of you.
Ooh, you're on a roll today. Hold on. Got to remind everyone, Lisa, how we can contact you, please, at Brown Skin Wellness. Tell us the website, phone number, and we'll continue the conversation. This is good. We're going on to our intro about Pilates, learning a little more about the core Pilates principles. And of course, we're going to talk about what to expect when getting started and about all the benefits. So, would you mind just sharing all the ways we can reach out to you? Thank you.
Sure. Hello at brownskinwellness.com. Brownskinwellness.com is the website. On Instagram, on Facebook, and LinkedIn, you can find us at Brown Skin Wellness as well on those handles. The number is 718-772-9101.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Continue, continue. All right, where do we leave off here? This is good stuff. Control, concentration, precision, and flow.
Flow. That's a really good one. So, as you go through the movements with flow, it's meant for you to gracefully move in from one movement into the next.
Okay.
So as an instructor is taking you through the movements, you might do something and then it should flow gracefully into the next move. I think a lot of the flow may have come from working with the dance community and the way dancers kind of just, move through a choreography. The fact that we even call each of the movements or the exercises we talk about, oh, the choreography for the class, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that all stems from, working with the dance community and how a lot of dancers actually became Pilates instructors and are that is the case today.
Hmm.
But coming into a session, what can you expect, right? Um, I think as I meet different people and I say, well, what do you want to achieve? They're like, oh, I want to feel human again,
Mm-hmm.
or I want to lose weight, or I want to get my waist snatched. We all come to the table with, different needs and different agendas. I would like to think
Yep.
that Pilates is that thing that kind of surprises you, that you get more than you expected when it's
Yeah,
over,
so
right?
true. Yep.
And it exceeds your expectations. Um, but I think when you come in, normally an instructor will look at your posture. They might look how you stand, how you sit, the placement of your shoulders. When you're standing naturally, are you standing in parallel with all 10 toes facing the same direction, or do you stand, with one foot turned out to the right? Do your knees come in? Do you have a more of a curve in your back? They'll ask you about any injuries. What's going on in your body? Have you ever broken any bones? Have you had any surgeries? And all of that can affect how you move. And then, obviously genetics, just how you were made. Sometimes it's just how you made, and
Yeah.
you move a certain way because that's how your bones just formed, right? Um, but you can experience several benefits from Pilates. Flexibility is one of them. We get tight, we sit for all day long in a desk. We might sit all day long as a
Yeah.
driver, a truck driver. You might be standing all day long, right? Different things get tight, different things get compressed. A lot of people experience sciatica, and think that, oh, it's the sciatica, but really
Yeah.
it's the psoas muscle that,
Mm-hmm.
extends from the front of the femur bone all the way to the back and attaches to the spine. And that needs to be lengthened so that it's not pressing on that sciatic nerve, causing that pain. Um, you can experience more flexibility, increase your range of motion, increase your mobility. If you've broken an ankle or maybe had a rotator cuff
Okay.
injury, there are things we can do
Yeah.
to get the muscles around those bones stronger so that you increase your mobility. So, flexibility, mobility, improved balance. One of the big values of doing footwork on the reformer or even on the mat, because you can do a variation of footwork without equipment, is to increase the muscle tone and get the muscles in those feet working. Because we wear these shoes, we don't walk barefoot the
Mm-hmm.
way they might have walked 100 or 200 years ago on the natural curve of the ground, or maybe even in the sand. You will find that exercising the muscles in the feet helps support you maintaining your balance and getting more balanced, uh, as you move through life. And that's really important because you want to minimize the occurrence of a fall, right? You don't want to be falling
Mm-hmm.
down. You want to make sure that, you can stand your ground. And so that's a really important one, to improve your balance, um, to consistently, and then increasing your strength. Um, you get stronger with resistance from the springs whenever you use the apparatus.
Okay.
Um, in the mat work, you can use a magic circle or
Ooh.
a ball.
What's the
Uh,
magic circle? I don't know about that. Never heard of that.
you never heard of the magic
No,
circle?
I have not. I
The
know the magic
magic
carpet.
The magic circle is this circle that has maybe two pads on one on either opposite sides, and you can use it to give you resistance. You can put it between your knees, you can put it between your ankles, you can put it between your hands for your arms. You can stick your feet through it and have adductor, adductor, the outside muscles, the side muscles of the thighs working. So where your no, the abductor, I'm sorry, I meant to say adductor, the outside muscles working. So pulling away, right? Um, and so those really work the inner, the outer thighs. It's a great tool for that. You can put it between the knees. It can help give someone alignment. Typically, you might not use it between the knees or ankles for someone that has major hip issues. Like if you just had a hip replacement surgery, that might be a challenging piece of apparatus to use to start with, right? So you might use something like a ball instead, a bender ball, right?
Yeah.
And you can, deflate the ball and get different results or different alignment depending on what the movement is or what the exercise is, or you might inflate the ball to have it a little firmer depending on what the need is, right? But there's all kinds of little props that we can use to help support the movement and getting stronger. And the magic circle is definitely one of those props that we use to help strengthen those muscles, get them more supple, and build up that muscle mass.
Ooh, I'm loving this. Thank you for sharing that with me. I really had no idea about this. All right, cool, cool, cool. And that's going to help us, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And with see, my you got me thinking about my posture too.
Like,
You're
oh,
gonna
should I
assess
stand
me and
up?
say, I can't. Oh, Jill, you're back. Yeah, I am. So I go and get this like the good chair, the better chair for your neck. And then you know what I realize? I'm never even using it.
Oh, no?
Yeah, I sit so forward in my chair and then I still slunch, I hunch like so. It's not. I should be sitting like this, but I feel like it's a little awkward if I'm talking to you like this. Like,
Are you feeling, but are you comfortable like that? You don't look comfortable.
not like this. I'm not.
Right, you're
I'm
like,
comfortable like this.
yeah.
But my spine is a little. You can't tell. It's a little like crooked there. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. But those are all things that that get assessed, what's going on in your body. And that's why a lot of times an instructor will customize, the movement based on what's happening, right? And you kind of need to have those conversations, be honest about how you're feeling mentally that day, as well as physically, as well as any injuries or pathologies in your body that are happening, because you might get into a movement today and tomorrow you just can't do it because mentally you're not there, even though physically you might be capable, right? So it's as much mental as it is physical.
absolutely. All right. Sorry to change gears. So continue. We still have more time. Go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay, okay, okay. So reduced back and knee pain, stress reduction, improved mental focus, and increased body awareness, increased self-awareness. Um, it is definitely a low impact modality. I know for a fact that clients can increase their muscle mass
Mm-hmm.
and improve their bone density numbers, by doing Pilates.
And that
Uh,
interests me. Hello. I was diagnosed with osteopenia, which is like on the verge of, going to osteoporosis, and I'm 46. And
right.
of course, no one mentioned that to me. They said, "Oh, just take more calcium."
Yeah, and that's good. You can take more calcium, eat more spinach, have more carrots, all those things. But movement is really, really important, and finding, a program that works for you, that makes you feel good, um, to increase that muscle tone and to protect those bones is important. So definitely take the calcium, but figure out how you can move. Even if it's for 20 minutes a day, all you need is about 10 or 20 minutes a day. You don't even need to do a full 50-minute class.
I like hearing that. I do. I do. Because sometimes you don't have a lot of time as a parent,
Right.
and it's like, well, a
Hmm.
little bit goes a long way, and it can
Absolutely.
and that always increases and is that called the endorphins, right? And it makes you want
Yes.
to do more, makes you want to work out. And yeah,
Yes.
what happened? What is that called when you start working out and it is it endorphins? Is that the word I'm looking for?
I think it is endorphins that you're talking about. I absolutely believe that exercising outdoors is an amazing energy boost. If you can go in your backyard and smell the trees and be in nature and feel the sun on your skin as you move, that's a big plus.
Mm-hmm.
Me living in Brooklyn in the middle of a 15-story building, I don't have that luxury unless I,
Yeah.
go to the park every day. I can't just run out in my backyard and do a quick workout. But the times that I have gone outside in the park or at the beach and done it, huge. it was a great lift mentally, physically, spiritually. It was like the best high ever.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. Unfortunately, we have to sum it up. We still got just 2 minutes left here on the clock. How did you kind of want to end things off for today?
Today, I want to say, find what works for you. Find what works for you. There's a lot of these modalities that have common benefits and common, breathing and improved balance, but find what works for you. Figure out what's going to give your body what it needs. And remember that you can breathe through anything in this life.
Thank you. And what do you have coming up soon? Did you want to share something?
Coming up soon on January 19th, we are going to have a woman come to South Orange, New Jersey. We're going to be at the Sweet Spot. We're going to be doing sound bowl healing and yoga, meditation, and breath work. So that will be posted on the events page on the website shortly. In the next few days, we will have that up with more information, but it's going to be January 19th. You must come. You must come. If you're a woman and you feel that you need a little self-care, you gotta join us at the Sweet Spot for this event. It's going to be fire.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Pleasure having you here as always. And tell us one more time how we could reach you.
brownskinwellness.com is the website. hello@brownskinwellness is the email address. The phone number is 718-772-9101. Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Brown Skin Wellness. That's the handle.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you back here, and always so thorough and so informative. And check her out. Obviously, I know if you're not in the New York area, obviously Zoom is the way to go. She's there to help you. And so anyone can really benefit from all of this. brownskinwellness.com. And again, I thank you today for giving us that history and that background about Pilates, what it is, and of course, all the benefits. Thank you. Start
You're
to move.
welcome.
That's that's what I learned from you today. Any movement is not too small. Get started.
10 minutes.
Thank
Give
you.
yourself 10 minutes.
I could do 10. Thank you so much, Lisa. Pleasure having you back. Enjoy your day, okay? And happy
You
Thanksgiving
too.
if we don't speak. Are we back on next week?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It's before Thanksgiving. So, all right.
Yes.
Happy early Thanksgiving. We'll chat next week.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye, sweetheart.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jen.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.